Hello and good morning. It's Phil Thatch, and today I'm here at the Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge. It's December 1st, and this is the first time I've come this season and found a lot of birds here. So I'm very excited, and today I'll be shooting with the Nikon Z8 and maybe a little bit with the new Z52 and the 180 to 600 telephoto zoom lens. The sun is just starting to come over the horizon in the background, and when that happens, there's good light on the birds. So let's get started. Okay, every shot in this video is going to be with the 180 to 600. They're all going to be 600 millimeters and they're all going to be wide open at 6.3. So I'm going to tell you the camera, the shutter speed, and the ISO. This first shot is with the Z50-2 at 1/1250th of a second and ISO 3200. Sandhill crane, love the fall color in the background, even though this is December 1st. Here's 10 or so American white pelicans, huge birds with about a 10-foot wingspan flying way in the distance. And I made this shot at 1/1250th with the Z52 and ISO 1100. Here's a northern harrier. Of course, I don't like the composition of this. The bird's flying in the wrong direction, but you don't see a northern harrier that often, or I don't. So I went ahead and made the shot even though it was flying in the wrong direction. I believe this one is an immature one, and this is 1/1250th at ISO 2200 with the Z52. Now I've switched over to the Z8. Here's a couple of Sandhill cranes. I love the water in the background and the golden colored grass in the background. This is 1/800th of a second and 2500 ISO. Another Z8 shot at 1/800th and 3200 ISO of the Sandhill crane. Here is a Z52 shot at 1/1250th of a second and ISO 800. All these little dots here in the background, that's Sandhill cranes. Here's another shot with the Z52. Now all of the shots so far using the Z52 have been using the mechanical shutter. This one is 1/1250th and ISO 500, but a little bit later I switch over to the electronic shutter. Here's another shot with the Z52, 1/1250th of a second and ISO 560. Oh, I meant to take a moment and take out this foot in the front of this shot, but I forgot to do it. Here's another shot with the Z52. I'm up to 1/2000th of a second now and 720 ISO. Here's a Z52 shot at 1/2000th of a second at ISO 1100. Now I'm back over on the Z8. These shots are not in order. I don't have the time set exactly the same on both cameras, so this shot was earlier in the morning and only at 1/800th of a second, 1800 ISO with the Nikon Z8. Now we're back to the Z52 at 1/2000th, ISO 720. Here's another Z52 shot, 1/2000th of a second, ISO 500. I like the blue sky reflecting off of the water in the background, and there's trees reflected towards the top of the frame. Now we're on the electronic shutter with the Z52. I thought the experience was better than the mechanical shutter, but there's definitely rolling shutter problems in the rest of the shots. This is 1/2000th at ISO 900. Here's another Z52 shot at 1/2000th and ISO 1000, electronic shutter for all the rest of the Z52 pictures. Here's another Z52 shot of the Sandhill crane. I love the mud on the beak and the feet because they've been messing around looking for something to eat on the shoreline. This is 1/2000th and ISO 1250. Here's another Z52 shot, 1/2000th of a second, ISO 1250. This is an immature Sandhill crane. No red on the top of the head yet. Another shot of an immature Sandhill crane, maybe my favorite Z52 shot of the video, 1/2000th of a second and ISO 1100. Both cameras are completely capable of making a good Sandhill crane in-flight photograph with this 180 to 600 millimeter lens. But I will tell you that the Z8 shooting experience is much, much better. It's just so smooth, and I don't know, the EVF experience, even though the Z8's known for having kind of a low resolution EVF compared to other nearly flagship cameras, it's just so much better than the Z52. Now we're on the Nikon Z8, and of course it doesn't have a mechanical shutter, so all of its pictures are electronic shutter as well. This is 1/1250th of a second and ISO 720. Here's an extra small in the frame shot with the Z8 1/12/50th and ISO 320. I like the rule of thirds sandhill crane here with 3 out of focus sandhill cranes way in the distance, and the colors in the sky were pretty cool, I thought. Here's another shot with the Z8 at 1/12/50th and ISO 2200. I like the fall colors in this shot, and man, that bird is sharp. It almost has a 3D pop look to it, as it's very, very sharp, and the background is nicely out of focus. And I love this tree here, this out of focus fall color tree. Here's another shot in that same pass. This is 1/12/50th and ISO 2000. I don't know, I kind of like both of them. This is another Z8 shot at 1/12/50th, only ISO 1000 for this one. I like the layers of the sky and the mountains in the background, and just really sharp on the bird. Now these two birds were flying, they were going from right to left, and as they were getting towards the left-hand side of the frame, there was a bunch of sandhill cranes taking off and flying towards them. So they turned sharply, and I caught a few pictures of them as they banked. This is with the Z8 at 1/12/50th and ISO 1800. This is the shot. No, I don't think this is the shot. This is the shot that I shared on social media. This is also 1/12/50th and ISO 2000 of the 2 sandhill cranes banking away from all the other maybe 50 sandhill cranes flying towards them. And this is one last shot in that same sequence, still with the Z8 1/12/50th and ISO 1600 for this one. Still using the Z8 for this shot. This is 1/12/50th and ISO 800. Love the sharpness in this one. Looks really good. And the out of focus backgrounds are rendered nicely by the 180 to 600 wide open at 6.3. Here's another shot with the Nikon Z8. I'm up to 1/1600th of a second now, and the ISO is 450. I like the way the clouds make layers and the mountains way in the background make another layer. Love the way this shot turned out. Pretty sharp on the birds too. This shot's heavily cropped with the Z8, and the bottom of the bird is cut off, but I love the orchestra conductor wing position in this shot. It's putting on the brakes as it's coming in for a landing. This is 1/2000th of a second, ISO 1400 with the Z8. Here's a couple of sandhill cranes flying by with the Z8 at 1/2000th of a second and ISO 400. Just beautiful birds. A trio of sandhill cranes at 1/2000th of a second with the Nikon Z8 and ISO 1600. I like the fall color in the background and the water with the sheen on it. Really a beautiful shot. Happy with this one. Here's a single sandhill crane with tons of mud on its beak and its feet, made with the Nikon Z8 at 1/2000th of a second and 900 ISO. Here's a pair of sandhill cranes. On the left, we have an immature sandhill crane, and on the right, there's an adult sandhill crane. This is 1/2000th of a second and 1600 ISO with the Nikon Z8. Here's kind of a low flyby shot with the Z8. This is 1/2000th of a second and 1400 ISO. And I believe this is the last shot of the day that I shared with you. I've had a nice morning shooting with the Nikon 180 to 600 millimeter lens and my new Z52 and my nearly new Z8 here at the Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge. Been a lot of fun, seen a lot of birds, hopefully got some decent shots. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, reach down, hit the thumbs up button. If you want to see some more stuff like this, subscribe and hit the bell. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye from the Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge. I made a couple of video clips that I thought I would go ahead and share with you. The first one is of about 20 American white pelicans way in the distance. This is with the 180 to 600 and the Z8. And the second video clip I thought I would share is about 6 or 7 Sandhill cranes. This is also with the Z8 and the 180 to 600. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.